have like the most awesome bunch of singers up here?
Amen.
Can I tell you something? When I shut my big mouth sometimes and I hear them, I would rather hear these people behind me, my friends and my brothers and my sisters, than hear Casting Crowns.
Amen.
That's me.
Yes.
When they sing, something happens to my heart. When I hear Sister Mary Kay, these young ones, singing these songs of God, it does something to me. I'm telling you, I get the Holy Ghost. We call them the Holy Ghost goose pimples is what we used to. I still get those, brother.
Yes, sir. Feel good.
I would like to share something with you tonight, if I could, that I felt like God laid on me yesterday. And I thought it was pretty awesome. And the more he flooded my soul, the more I was like, wow, God, that's just pretty cool. I'd like to turn to the book of Genesis. Does anybody know what Genesis is? Does anybody know what Genesis means? Beginning. So you would think a book that means, the name that means beginning would be what? The beginning. It's the first book in the Bible. Genesis chapter 1, verse 1. And you know what? I'm going to read the whole chapter. So you better hold on. Sister Morgan, grab the seat. You go, oh no. Yeah, but you got to hear this. In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. Now the earth was formless and empty. Darkness was over the surface of the deep. And the Spirit of God was hovering above the waters. And God said, let there be light. And there was light. God saw that the light was good, and He separated the light from the darkness. God called the light day, and the darkness He called night. And there was evening, and there was morning the first day. Do you realize this was before the sun? Think about that. God said, let's have day, let's have night. And then later on He said, oh, you know what, let's put the sun out there. And let's put the moon out. But He first made light and darkness. And God said, let there be a vault between the waters to separate water from water. So God made the vault and separated the water under the vault from the water above it, and it was so. And God called the vault sky, and there was evening and there was morning the second day. And God said, let the water under the sky be gathered to one place, and let the dry ground appear. So it was so. And God called the dry ground land, and the gathered waters He called seas. And God saw that it was good. And God said, let the land produce vegetation, seed-bearing plants, and trees on the land that bear fruit with seed in it, according to their various kinds, and it was so. And the land produced vegetation, plants bearing seeds according to their kind, and the trees bearing fruit. Oh, thank God for apples and peaches, amen. And with seeds and according to their kind, and God saw that it was good. And there was evening and there was morning the third day. And God said, let there be light in the vault of the sky, and separate the day from the night, and let them serve as signs to mark sacred times and days and years. And let them be lights in the vault of the sky to give light on the earth. And it was so. And God made two great lights, the greater light to govern the day, and the lesser light to govern the night. He also made the stars. God set them in the vault of the sky to give light on the earth, to govern the day and the night, and to separate light from darkness. And God saw it was good. And there was evening and there was morning the fourth day. The fifth day God said, let the water teem with living creatures, and let the birds fly above the earth across the vault of the sky. And God created the great creations of the sea, or great creatures of the sea, and every living thing with which the waters teems and that moves about in it, according to their kinds, and every winged bird according to its kind. And God saw that it was good. God blessed them and said, be fruitful and increase in numbers, and fill the waters in the sea, and let the birds increase on the earth. And there was evening and there was morning the fifth day. I know you all go, man, this is going on for just one more day, life really. The last day you rested, right? And God said, let the land produce living creatures according to their kind, and livestock, the creatures that move along the ground, and wild animals, each according to its kind. And it was so. And God made the wild animals according to their kind, the livestock according to their kind, and all the creatures that move along the earth or the ground according to their kind. And God saw that it was good. Then God said, let us make mankind in our image and in our likeness, so that they may rule over the fish of the sea and the birds in the sky, over the livestock and all the wild animals, and over all the creatures that move along the ground. So God created mankind in his own image. In the image of God he created them, male and female he created them, boys and girls. God blessed them and said to them, be fruitful and increase in numbers. Fill the earth and subdue it. Rule over the fish of the sea, the birds in the sky, and over every living creature that moves on the ground. Then God said, I give you every seed-bearing plant on the face of the whole earth, every tree that has fruit with seed in it. They will be yours for food. And to all the beasts of the earth, and all the birds of the sky, and all the creatures that move along the ground, everything that has breath of life in it, I give every green plant for food. And it was so. God saw that all that he had made, and it was very good. And there was evening, and there was morning, and it was the sixth day. I'd like to pray. Father, I just pray, God, that you would help me, Lord Jesus, to bring forth your word. More than that, God, I pray, Lord Jesus, you would allow us, Lord God, to hear your spirit, Lord God, and that you would open hearts and lives in the service tonight. And God, that we would see, Lord God, who you are. In Jesus' your name, amen. I'd like to read you a few more things, if you don't mind. I'd like to read you, they're kind of unique. It's a list of, you might say, of God's abilities. I'm not going to go over them all because there's just not enough time. But how many remembers the 10 plagues of Egypt?
We just studied
You
that
kids?
in our class.
You kids have been studying in your class? These things weren't just little things. These were turning all the water. Even in glasses, it was turned to blood. Everywhere, water, the wells, the water, the Nile, everything turned to blood. The one that always gets me is the frogs. It just kills me. Because that's the only one that Pharaoh, Moses comes to him and says, you want me to get rid of the frogs? And the Pharaoh says, no, do it tomorrow. I'm like, why would you want to stay one more night with these stinking frogs? You could tell Pharaoh was a lost cause when he wanted to sleep with frogs that night. But anyways, how about the fact that Moses and the children of Israel, God parts the Red Sea. They walk across on dry land. Then that very sea that they had walked across on dry land swallows up the whole Egyptian army. The most powerful army on planet Earth at that time. And God did it in a matter of seconds. Gone. Never to be heard from again. That's a pretty big deal. How about donkeys that talk? Kids on the front row. Did you know that? That in the Bible there was a donkey that actually talked? Yeah, I can. If you want, I'll show you where these scriptures are. Saved his master, and his master just kept beating on him and beating on him. He kept ducking away and falling over just so the master wouldn't get his head cut off. And finally he just was like, you stupid donkey. And the donkey turned around and I'm not so stupid. How many donkeys you know that can talk to you? And he talks to him, saves his soul, saves his life. How about Daniel in the lion's den? Y'all ever heard that story? Daniel says that he's going to serve God and he's going to keep praying. And they say, all right, well, I'm going to throw you in there with the lions. Throws him in there with the lions. You know what he does? He lays down beside him and he goes to sleep. And just in case you thought those lions were just toothless, gumless, sleeping, lazy lions that don't eat people, the guys that had Daniel thrown in there that tricked the king into doing it, they were thrown in there. Guess what? They woke up and they had dinner. I don't want to say any more than that, do you, brother? God shut the mouth of the lion because God is in control. I just read it to you. He made everything. How about this one? 3 Hebrew children thrown into a fiery furnace. It was such a hot thing. There was so much Candace, there was so much heat, so much fire in there that the men, the strong men that bound them and threw them in, died. Just from the heat out. You ever been near a big fire and it's just like you're 100 feet away and you still feel like you're going to fall over? That's what happened to these men. They had to get close and throw them in. You know what was really funny? They not only survived it, they were walking around, and when they came out, Brother Scott, they didn't smell like smoke. How many of y'all ever been around a fire? And tell me you don't come out and smell like smoke. You can get within 10 feet of my smoker, and you're going to smell like a smoke.
Amen.
They came out with nothing. Nothing was singed, nothing was burnt, and they didn't smell like smoke.
Amen.
Of course, they did have a fourth one in there that said it was likened to the Son of God. I'm going to hurry up here. The walls of Jericho is a walled city. They had no chance of beating them. I'm like, can you imagine that? They're standing up there. They could just throw down a stone and kill somebody just from the height. You know, what do you got on us? We got a wall. You ain't got a wall. You know. They march around it 7 times on the 7th day. They shout. They blow their trumpet. And what happens? The walls fall flat. They go in and they take them. How about Gideon? 300 men with some lamps inside of jars and some trumpets. I'm thinking if I'm going to war, I want a machine gun. These guys take jars with lights in them, a candle in it, and a trumpet. Now what kind of... Does that not sound like the craziest thing you ever heard of? Yet they sent 100,000 to fight. What's the deal? How's that possible? I'm going to go on here. I'm going to hurry. How about Samson? You guys like Hulk? Superman? How about a real story called Samson that killed 1,000? Now I want to show you something here. Killed 1,000 soldiers. These Philistines weren't just guys that are sitting there, you know, little farmers and stuff. These were actual soldiers, and he killed 1,000. And then at the end of the story, blinded, he pushes down 2 columns and causes a whole Colosseum to cave in on itself. Now that's some muscle. Amen? How about Elijah? I don't know, y'all, have y'all ever heard of Elijah in the Bible? There's a little part of a story you probably never heard. There's a part where the chariots take off to go back to tell the king, and Elijah runs faster than the chariots back to he beats them there, and he's waiting on them when they get there. Hey guys, how you doing? Real life flash. The Spirit of God came on him, and it says he moved faster than those chariots. I can just almost see that. Can you imagine those guys when they get there? How'd you get here? It ain't like they have things like us nowadays where you can take a motorcycle or... No. He had God's shoes, took off. I'm getting somewhere with this. Jesus feeds 4,000 plus women and children with a little bit of nothing. That's pretty amazing. I got one better. He feeds 5,000 plus women and children. Amen? With what was it? Does anybody know what Jesus fed all that 5,000? They figured that it was more like 10,000. You know, you take a man, he's going to have a wife and maybe 1 or 2 kids. So let's say 10,000. And he fed them with what?
Both of bread and fish.
How many loaves of bread? No, I think there was more. It's 5 loaves and 3 fishes, I believe. 3 fishes and 5 loaves. It could have been 1, Brother Logan. It wouldn't have made any difference. I mean, how do you feed 10,000 with even 5 little pieces of bread?
Amen.
You know? Well, that made it much easier. I don't think so. I'm going on. I'm going to hurry. Jesus makes a lame to walk. People that have not walked since birth, he gets them, they start walking. He opens blinded eyes. Healed leopards. I don't know how many. You know, now listen guys, please, I'm almost done. Do you know that there were so many miracles that the Bible actually said that he performed so many miracles that all the libraries and all the books could not contain all that he did in a short time. And you think about it, he didn't do anything until he was 30-something. Because he didn't do any miracles when he was young. He said, Mother, I'm not even coming. And when he made the water into wine, he says, hey, it's not even time for me to do this. And he did so much that they say that all the books and all the couldn't contain all that he did. Yeah. Amen. Just people bumping into it. You know, you say that's impossible, but you know there was a place in America, and this is just what I'm thinking of right now, it's called Azusa Street. And people driving by and people that would walk by that house were being slain in the spirit and falling. People that were not planning on going to church that day were getting slain in the spirit. God's power was so, the presence of God was over that place so much They were just falling out in the yard. Can you imagine? I'd like to find that house. I did find that house. Amen? And the water's still good. Amen? Heals blinded eyes. Heals leprosy time and time again. Opens deaf ears. Raises the dead. It gets better than that. He says, I'm going to the Father, and greater things than this are you going to do. So Peter, John, Paul, I could go on with the disciples, but let me say this. To this day, there are people still being healed. Right now when we're sitting in this church, Brother Kyle, there's people being raised from the dead. I have no doubt in it. Why? Because my God is alive and He's still in business.
Yes, sir.
I have said all this. Can I tell you something? I looked up a word in the dictionary, and I was curious what this word meant. And the word is resume. Does anybody know, do the young people of this church, do they know what a resume is? Do you adults, do you know what a resume is? A resume is a document where one lists their background and their skills and their abilities. A resume is a document that lists their background, their skills, and their abilities. You mean kind of like this? You mean kind of like this? And it's pretty intense resume. It takes a lot of reading if it takes you that long. I'll be honest with you. It didn't take me that long. Because you know what I found out? That I have just read you just a small list of what God has done. Of His abilities. Of His skills. I mean, Brother Kyle, I've looked around and I haven't seen too many people going out there and making worlds. I haven't found any other gods that made light and darkness. Made the sun, the sky, the stars, everything that walks. Began this whole thing. Was there from the beginning, is there at the end. At the end of that same resume, He's the only one that could get away with this, Brother Kerry. But at the end of it, He said, I am the Alpha and the Omega, the beginning and the end. You know, He was like, I'm all that and a bag of potato chip. I'm the potato chip factory. Amen. And I said all that to say this. I think it's quite a resume. I think it's impressive. And I think that we would be, I told you earlier we should never say shut up, and we should never say stupid. But I can't understand the world, and I can't understand people that sit there and want to run their lives when God says, look, you can run your life, and I've read your resume, or you could let me run your life. And there's been millions that have read my resume, and it stood the test of time. Amen? Tonight, I'd like to ask you, will you hire Him? Would you let Him live? Would you let God run your life for a while? You know, they sit there, and I heard, it was Paul Harvey, I heard this Brother David a long time ago. Paul Harvey said this. He said, you know, an intelligent boss hires a skilled laborer, somebody that has the abilities to do what you need them to do, and then allows them to do it. What are you talking about, Brother King? I just asked you, will you let God be in charge of your life? So many of us sit there and I can say, you know, y'all clapped your hands, and so many of us are going, yes, God has abilities. God is power. God is all that. And we'll say, yes, I want to hire God to run my life. And then tomorrow morning we get up and say, yeah, you're not doing it the way I like it. I've got a different way of running my life, Lord, and this is the way I like to do it. And God says, listen, you hired me to do a job. You hired me to do a job. Let me do the job.
Amen.
The God of all my days. We had that song picked out the other night, and I said, Sister, those would be perfect for tonight. And as that song was playing, I was thinking, you're the God of all my days, if I let you. You've got my whole life planned out if I let you.
Amen.
If I will stop fighting you, if I will just let you be God. I just read you a small part. Sister Lauren, I just read you a very small part of what God's capable of doing. I told somebody the other day, Sister Mary Kay, I said, you know, I'm feeling older and older every day. I do. Before church, I was laying up there against the wall going, oh, my back hurts so bad. I poured some concrete this morning and I feel it now. Ran around like a chicken with his head cut off all day long. This whole week has been that way, just like crazy. But yet when I start singing those songs, the last couple of weeks I've noticed there's something going on inside my spirit. That song, there's a spirit that I just can't contain. I've often wondered, why do we try to? Why do we try to contain what God is trying to do? Why, when we see how many abilities God has, why, when we have seen what his resume reads, and we have seen people that have been touched by God. I saw somebody raised from the dead one night. And yet sometimes, Sister Loma, I take control. And God goes, what are you doing, stupid? You don't even have a driver's license. You don't know what you're doing, Kenny. I have found that as I'm getting older, when that music plays, I feel young. You know, Joshua made this statement. He said, listen, I'm 80 years old now. I'm getting old. But he told the whole congregation of Israel, but my God is able to take me out there, whip them boys, and then bring me back here. I have no doubt that although I'm old, I still got the strength of God inside me.
Amen.
Amen? Why? Because he has abilities that are beyond my abilities. He has skills that are beyond my skills. I was testifying to a brother last night, Brother David, and I was telling him about everything that was going on in this church. And I mean, when I get going, it's hard to stop me. And one of the things was, I said, I don't know who that guy is behind the pulpit no more, because I don't know where that message is coming from. I've never been that person to preach like that. I don't know what's going on with me. Thank goodness I was talking to a good saint of God. You know what he said, Sister Morgan? I know exactly what it is. It's the Spirit of God. And his abilities, if you'll let him, will blow your abilities out of the water. You'll sit there like stuttering Moses. I don't know how I'm going to get this done, God. I don't know how I'm going to do all this. The very first, after I read you those, the very first person I went to was Moses. Do you know what Moses said? I'm not capable, God. As we stand, he said, God, I'm not able to do that. You know what I think's funny? As he looked back, Sister Summer, and he said,